My students tell me that the TOEFL reading section inference questions are often the hardest ones to get right. And that's why this video is all about answering the TOEFL reading inference questions. But before I begin, I want to ask you a question. How do you know which of the TOEFL tutors is the right one for you? How do you know which one is giving you the best advice? Well, what I'm going to give you right now is a full lesson from my TOEFL video course. Now, take a look at this video, watch it if you're learning something. Then I want to ask you a question at the end. Take a look. Hello again. Hey, don't forget that if you're having any issues with this course, make sure you email me directly because I will answer you and help you to pass your TOEFL IBT as quickly as possible. Let's get into this lesson. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to answer the TOEFL reading inference questions quickly and accurately by reading less. This is for enhanced TOEFL IBT inference questions. In essence, inference questions ask, what does the author mean by this? This question is designed to cause you to read the paragraph and guess or assume what the author means. To avoid this trap, repeat after me. I don't know, and I don't care. Although it seems counterintuitive, this attitude lends the ability to read less, understand more, and eliminate choices that are wrong according to the TOEFL rule. Keep in mind that the TOEFL IBT is not testing your reading comprehension skills. It is testing your knowledge of ETS's procedures and rules. Now, let me take a moment to clarify what I'm saying. I've been seeing a lot of other tutors teaching that the passages are short, so read the passage first and then answer the questions. But I can assure you that this test is designed to trick you in every way possible. ETS knows how you think, how you reason, and they've put extra information in the passages to trick you into picking wrong choices. And I'm going to show you in this video how they do it. If you follow what I teach you and stick to just what I'm teaching you, you will pass your TOEFL IBT with the highest score imaginable, and you'll be very proud of yourself and get on with your life. So let's get back into seeing the procedures and rules that you can follow to answer these questions very quickly and accurately. Take a look. Procedures for answering inference questions. Step 1. Identify the question type. There are several styles of inference questions, and knowing each style will help you to quickly identify the question. Common inference questions will typically say the words infer, imply, suggest, concludes, or some variation of these words. Be careful. There are instances in which inference questions are worded like rhetorical purpose questions, but they contain the words infer, imply, suggest, or concludes. Step 2. Inference questions are general questions. Let me take a moment to clarify why I state that inference questions are general questions. When we're reading, we're either reading for specific details in a sentence or we're reading for the general idea. When you have an inference question, you want to read for the general idea, or what we call the gist, general idea, structure, and tone of the sentence. Now let's continue. Step 3, determine what the question is asking about. Ask yourself these two questions. What is the question asking about? And what does the question ask about that? Some inference questions ask about a specific sentence in the passage, while others ask about the paragraph as a whole. Again, I must clarify that the TOEFL IBT is always trying to get you to read too much. And if you read more than the sentences that are directly related to the question, there will be choices that seem right, but they're wrong. So we want to make sure that we focus on only the information that is directly related to the question. And I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. So let's continue. Step number 4, read only as much as you must to find the information directly related to the question. For example, If the question refers to a specific topic in the passage and asks a question about that topic, read only the related sentence. However, if the question mentions the topic only, but does not ask something about it, or if the question is referring to the paragraph in general, go to each choice and follow step 5. Step 5. Eliminate all choices that have topics that are either not mentioned in the paragraph or change the meaning of what is stated in the paragraph with the related topic. Pro tip: some choices will seem reasonable, but if the information is not mentioned in the passage or it's different from what's stated in the passage, eliminate it. All right. Again, this whole test is not about your English skills. It's about college readiness. It's testing your ability to follow certain study skills. And that's what we're learning here. And that's what gives you the highest score on the test. So let's take a look at some questions and see how do we work less and get a higher score. Take a look. The questions that we will see in this video will come from either the TOEFL IBT Practice Test 1 or TOEFL IBT Practice Test 2. Remember, when practicing for your TOEFL IBT, use the most up-to-date TOEFL IBT practice test. Here's a situation that you will see quite often on the new TOEFL IBT. It's a short passage, and it's very tempting to read the entire passage first before answering the questions. But remember, there's a lot of extra information in the passage that is designed to trick you into picking wrong choices. Besides, it's a time test with very little time. The less you read, the higher your score will be. So the first thing we do is skip the reading, go directly to the questions. Looking at our questions, you'll see number 14 has the word inferred in it, which is an automatic indication that this is an inference question. Notice that I didn't read the entire question to be able to identify it. I simply had to find that word inferred. Inference questions will have the words infer, imply, suggest, or conclude, or some variation of one of those words, in which case we have here inferred. And now that we've finished step 1, we can move on to step 2. Step 2 is simple. Inference questions are asking about something general from the passage. Now let's do step 3. What is the question asking about? The question asks, what can be inferred about this person? Notice that I didn't read the name. ETS often puts names that are difficult to pronounce in the passages simply to steal your time. All you have to do is replace these big words or difficult words with something, some kind of to do something, or in this case, some person. What can be inferred about this person's relationship with what? Remember, we're asking, what is the question about, and what does it ask about that? What is it asking about this person? What is this person's relationship with the fitness center? Now, it's easy to understand this question. Let's find the related sentence in our passage so that we can use it to eliminate wrong choices. And that is choices that are different from what's stated in the passage or not mentioned. So step number 4 is using our information from the question to find the related sentence in the passage. What are we looking for? Are we looking for this person's name? Maybe, but not in this case, because if you look at your passage, we don't find this person's name anywhere except for in the greeting. So let's move on to what is it asking about? It's about the fitness center. Where does it talk about the fitness center in this passage? Remember to use your scanning techniques, looking for the first 3 letters of the word fitness. Scanning our passage, I find the word fitness here. And now I'm going to read this sentence for the general idea. Our sentence reads, it's the perfect chance to experience our community-focused approach to wellness and introduce others to a space designed for all fitness levels. Now, does this one sentence give you enough information to answer the question? In other words, is this sentence directly related to this question? It is not, because it's asking about this person's relationship to the fitness center. And this sentence does not reveal that relationship. So let's read the related sentence. Remember the rule. Sentences come in pairs that share the same main topic. So let's go to the sentence previous to this one. That sentence reads, this celebration exclusively for our valued members and their guests will include guided tours. Now, I'm not going to read any more because this has revealed the relationship. The exclusively for our valued members tells me that this person is a valued member of the fitness center. Now I'm going to look at my choices and eliminate choices that are not mentioned or are different from what is stated. Looking at our choices, choice A states, she helps the fitness center to organize activities. Is there anything about this person organizing activities in this sentence? No. What about choice B? She has already explored the new facility. Does it say that she has already explored the new facility? No. What about C? She is a member at one of the fitness center's other locations. Well, I don't know for sure, but she is at least a member of one location. And what about choice D? She is new to using fitness centers and exercise equipment. Does it say anywhere in these two sentences that she is new to using fitness centers and exercise equipment? No. And therefore, choice D is also not possible because it is not mentioned in the passage. This makes choice C the best answer. Now you can see that the methods that I use are direct and to the point. Not every question will be this easy, and we're going to look at some that are a little more challenging. So let's continue. This is question number 20 from the Module 2 and Practice Test 1. Number 20 is obviously an inference question because it has the word inferred. Now that we've identified the question type, let's go ahead and just know that it's going to ask about something general from the passage. And now we'll move on to step number 3. What is the question asking about? It's asking about consumers. And what about these consumers? It's asking about consumers in collectivist cultures. Now, wait a minute. What if you don't know what collectivist cultures are? Well, let's see how we can answer this question even if you don't know anything about the subject. Continue. Take a look. So here we are at the passage, and you may be tempted to read it because it's so short, but don't. All you're going to do is go directly to the area that we're looking for. In this case, it's collectivist cultures. Do you find collectivist cultures in this passage? Remember, don't read, scan. We're looking for a word that begins with the letters C-O-L. By scanning, I find those words here. And now that I've found what I'm looking for, I'm going to read the sentence. It says, conversely, collectivist cultures, which often provide fewer choices, report higher levels of contentment. Is this enough information to eliminate choices that are different from what's said in the passage or not mentioned? Let's look at our choices and see if we can eliminate certain ones. If you're not sure, look at your question again. In this case, it's asking about consumers in collectivist cultures. Does our sentence talk about consumers in collectivist cultures? Well, our sentence doesn't use the word consumers, but is it related to consumers? Conversely, these kinds of cultures, which often provide fewer choices, report higher levels of contentment. In a general sense, they're talking about the higher levels of contentment, which would be related to consumers. And if you're uncertain, read the related sentence. And it says, this dynamic suggests that understanding cultural differences in consumer psychology can help businesses. Okay, so our sentence is talking about collective cultures. They're talking about how it's related to the consumers. And what does it say about these collective cultures? They often provide fewer choices, and the consumers report higher levels of contentment. Now let's look at our choices and see what can we eliminate. Choice A, they tend to report lower levels of satisfaction. That's the opposite of what was stated. Our sentence stated that they report higher levels of contentment. So A is not possible. What about B? They are more affected by the paradox of choice. Is that what our sentence said? Our sentence was stating that they had fewer choices and that they had greater contentment. So choice B was not mentioned, and therefore choice B is not possible. What about choice C? Choice C states they generally have fewer choices available. That's exactly what our sentence said, so I'm going to say that's possible. I'm not saying that it's right, because there are no right answers on the TOEFL IBT. I'm saying that it's possible. And what about choice D? They prefer individual decision making. There was absolutely nothing mentioned about their preference of individual decision making, and therefore choice D is not possible, leaving us with choice C as the best answer. All right, it seems so easy when I do it, but it's only because I know the procedures, I know the structures and rules of the test, and I obey those procedures and rules without any other thought. If you try to mix what I'm teaching you with other methods, it's going to make it more complicated and more confusing. Just simplify. I have many students who try what I'm doing, but they mix it with other people's methods, and then they get confused and they have lower scores on their test. But once they abandon everything else and just simply do what I teach, they pass their TOEFL IBT quickly with a much higher score than they had thought they would, and they're on with their life. And I'm hoping that's the way it is for you. Whatever you've done in any other way, forget it. The TOEFL is a different test, and we have to take it the way it works. Let's take a look at some other questions to make sure that you know the procedures and that you're doing just those and that you can answer the questions quickly and accurately. Let's continue. All right, you'll find this question in test number 2 in module 2 of the reading section. We're going to look at both questions number 13 and 14 because even though 13 doesn't say the words inferred, implied, suggest, or concludes, it is an inference question. It uses the word indicated. Now, as I said while I was reading the procedures, that the common inference questions have the words infer, imply, suggest, or concludes. Number 13 is an uncommon inference question. But how will we know it's inference? Let's just right now say that any question that says the word indicated will be an inference question. Now let's continue answering. Again, short passage. You may be tempted to read the whole thing, but don't. Save yourself time. Eliminate confusion and wrong choices by going directly to the question and saying, okay, number 13. What kind of question is it? It says indicated. And what is the question asking you about? It's asking about the office heating system. Now, where will we look in our passage? Here. What does our sentence say? I'm writing to inform you of a scheduled maintenance procedure on the office heating system set to take place on this day at this time. Now, as I said, there are easy, medium, and hard levels of this question. Some of them you may have to read a little more to be able to answer the question. What is indicated about this office heating system? Right now, we only know that it is scheduled for a maintenance procedure, looking at our choices. Do we have something that is about the maintenance procedure? We have A, it failed an inspection. Nothing there. B, it will not be functioning during maintenance. We don't know that. C, it is not working properly. We don't know that either. D, it performs optimally. We don't know that. We only know that it's scheduled for maintenance. Now let's read the related sentence. The related sentence says, this essential work is part of our seasonal inspection and efficiency upgrade initiative to ensure optimal performance during the colder months. Now, looking at this pair of sentences and going to your choices, is there anything we can eliminate based on the information we've seen so far? Now, for those of us who are very familiar with the TOEFL, you may be able to eliminate choices based on the information we have. However, if you're not familiar with the TOEFL, you may need to read one more related sentence. So let's do that. The following paragraph starts. Please note that the heating system will be offline throughout the day and indoor temperatures will drop noticeably. What is it about? The heating system will be offline throughout the day. So what do we know about the heating system? It's scheduled for maintenance and it will be offline throughout the day. Let's take our information and eliminate wrong choices. A, it failed an inspection. No mention of any inspection at all. Certainly not that it failed an inspection. What about choice B? It will not be functioning during maintenance. Well, the system will be offline. This is another way of saying that it will not be functioning. So B is possible. What about C? It is not working properly. They did not say that the system is not working. They simply said that it's going to be offline throughout the day because of scheduled maintenance. It's not being worked on because it's broken. The passage is not saying that the heating system is not working. They're simply saying that it has a scheduled maintenance procedure. So choice C is not possible. And what about choice D? It performs optimally. We don't know that. We only know that it's scheduled for maintenance procedure and that it will be offline throughout the day, and therefore choice D is not possible, leaving us with choice B as the credited answer. Now, wait a minute. Before we just rush ahead, I want to look at this question one more time because it is a higher level question. What makes it a higher level question? Two things. Number one, we had to read one more sentence than we would ordinarily have to read. In some cases, we have to read one sentence. In other cases, we have to read two sentences. In this particular case, we had to read a third but related, directly related sentence. Keep in mind that when you're reading, if you start reading information that is not directly related to the question, stop reading. Read only the information that is directly related to the question. The other thing is that the words that were used in the choice were not the same words that were used in the passage. And this is challenging because it's a vocabulary issue. There are times when the choices will have synonyms or little phrases that mean the same thing as what's stated in a passage. But if you don't know what those words mean, you may be challenged. How do we know if this is the right answer? We don't. There are no right answers on the TOEFL IBT. What we have is rules for wrong choices. And so even though I was uncertain of choice B, I was certain that choices A, C, and D are definitely wrong. And that gives me the confidence to choose the remaining choice and move on. And that's what ETS does to you. They know that you want to get the right answer. They know that you want to be certain. And so they've created a test in which you will have to choose answers that you're uncertain of and move on. Remember that you're going to be certain of wrong choices. And pick what's left and move on. Speaking of moving on, let's take a look at question number 14. All right, question number 14. Back to being able to easily recognize the question. This question has the word inferred, and therefore it is an inference question. Now, what is the question asking about? The weather on May 27th. What do we know about the weather? Well, what does our passage say about it? Here we have May 27th, and we've already read these two sentences. Does it say anything about May 27th, other than it's the day where the scheduled maintenance will be done? Not in this sentence. Well, let's look at our choices and see if they say anything about the scheduled maintenance on that day. Choice A states, it will be cooler than the temperature at which the office is normally kept. Nothing about maintenance procedure. What about B? It will be unusual for the season. Well, nothing about maintenance there. C, it will require office workers to stay home rather than go to the office. Again, nothing about a maintenance procedure here. And D, it will change throughout the day. There was nothing mentioned about that. However, remember that we had 3 sentences that we read. The related sentence states the essential work is part of our seasonal inspection and efficiency upgrade initiative to ensure optimal performance during the colder months. Colder months. But I'm not sure if that is really related to May. So what else does the sentences say that we have been directly related to read? The next one states, please note that the heating system will be offline throughout the day and indoor temperatures will drop noticeably. So what do we know about May? It's about colder months and it's about indoor temperatures dropping noticeably. Now let's take a look at our choices and eliminate those that are not mentioned or are different from the information stated in the passage. Choice A, it will be cooler than the temperature at which the office is normally kept. Well, you know what? I'm not sure. I know that it says that the indoor temperatures will drop noticeably, so there's something about being cooler. So I'm just going to say maybe and move on. It will be unusual for the season. It doesn't say it will be unusual. It says that the temperatures will drop noticeably, not that they're unusual. So B, although it may be assumed, it is not stated in the passage, and therefore it is not possible. Choice C, it will require office workers to stay home rather than go to the office. There was nothing about the office workers staying home, and therefore C is not possible. And choice D, it will change throughout the day. Now, wait a minute. That could be possible, don't you think? Because something here says throughout the day, and the indoor temperatures will drop noticeably. So wouldn't that be a change throughout the day? And now we're stuck between A and D. However, which one of these is less like what's stated in the passage? It will be cooler than the temperatures at which the office is normally kept, or it will change throughout the day. What else does our sentence say? The heating system will be offline throughout the day. So choice D is a distraction. It is something that's in the passage, but not what the passage is about. And therefore, choice A is the best answer. So you can see that ETS can ramp up the difficulty of these questions, but the difficulty only comes in how they put extra information in the passage, or they mislead you into reading things that are not directly related to the question or to the choices. It's important that you eliminate choices that are not related to the main idea in the sentence, in the paragraph that is directly related to the question. Now, before we go, I want to show you one more thing. Remember I said that sometimes they word inference questions that look similar to rhetorical purpose questions? Let's take a look at that. We are back at questions number 13 and 14 from test 1. And remember that inference questions are asking about the general idea of a sentence that's stated in the passage. Well, looking at number 13, what is the main purpose of the email? And number 14 says, what can be inferred about this person and what else the sentence says about that person? Both of these questions are asking about something general from the passage. However, number 14 clearly states the word inferred, and number 13 clearly is asking about the main purpose, and all choices begin with the word to. This is how you tell the difference between inference questions and rhetorical purpose questions. All right, I hope you understand that these procedures are designed to help you to read less, understand more about how the test works, use them specifically in the order that I teach you. In other words, use the procedures step by step in the order that I teach you. Read less, read only the information that's directly related to the question, and eliminate wrong choices. Never look for the right answer. This test is designed to have choices that seem right or could be reasonably understood that, hey, this makes sense. They have choices that make sense, but they're wrong according to the rules. Always make sure that you eliminate according to the rules. Your goal is to eliminate two choices that are obviously wrong. Remove those, get down to two choices that are, I'm not sure about. And then when you're not sure between those two, eliminate the one that is less like the main idea in the sentences that you've been directed to read. Do not read outside the scope of those 1, 2, or at the very most, 3 sentences. If you start reading something that is not directly related to the question, stop. Because if you read more, you will find choices that match what you've read, but they're wrong. Let's take a look at that and see a question that will give you a wrong choice if you read one sentence too many. Take a look. Here we are back at question number 20 that we did earlier. And so we know that it's about consumers in collectivist cultures. And when we go to our passage, we're directed to read the sentence. Conversely, collectivist cultures, which often provide fewer choices, report higher levels of contentment. But if we read more, if we read the sentences before, the paradox also has broader implications. And the sentence, in individualistic cultures where personal choice is highly valued, the burden of decision-making can be significant. Notice that there's a word here that sticks with us. Do you know what that word is? Paradox. Because paradox is a strange word, we think about it. And then when we look at our choices, what do? We see the word paradox. And we read that choice and it states, they are more affected by the paradox of choice. And we say, yeah, that sounds right. And it is reasonable. But that's not what the main idea of our sentence is about. Be careful when you're reading. Use the procedures that I teach you and stick to only reading those sentences that are directly related to the question. That's it for this video. Be sure to write to me if you have any questions. I'll see you in the next. As you can see, my videos are short, concise, to the point. I teach you exactly how to answer each question step by step, and the methods that I teach work. All of my students tell me one thing. Mister, I've wasted a lot of time and money. I wish I'd found you first. Don't be like them. Don't go to someone else first. Go to my online video course, subscribe. Pass your TOEFL in 30 to 90 days, depending on your English level, so that you can get that respectable passing score and get on with your life.